But Kanye West has had himself a time. He recently went on a Twitter rampage and had a little tweet where he was urinating on his Grammy. You know, we've all been there. Very hydrated. Good to see. Kanye's getting his water in. Kanye seems to be. I mean, you can tell he's on an animal pack. Like if you were on Animal Pack in the early 2000s, like in 2006, if you were on Animal Pack, like every other 15, 16-year-old in the world, this pee right here would have been neon orange. It would be it would be literally burning through the Grammy. The Animal Pack urine would be melting through that Grammy. I need to see everybody's contracts at Universal and Sony. I'm not going to watch my people be enslaved. I'm putting my life on the line for my people. The music industry and the NBA are modern-day slave ships. I'm the new Moses. He's so close. He's so close. He's so close, man. You hate to see it. But I think where he misses people, or where anyone arguing this is missing people, is that it's really hard to be like, man, this is a modern day slave ship, and then it's like, yeah, but whatever. Kawhi Leonard just signed a $200 million contract. You know, like, you're playing basketball, you're making music. I'm not saying that they aren't unfairly treated by their managers or by the industry. But I got a feeling I know a few people making $50,000, $40,000 a year at a job, working 60 hours a week, who work in a cubicle, and what they're going through is a lot closer to unfair and a lot closer to like actual mistreatment than what the NBA players and the music industry is going through. I think that's the idea. I understand, and this happens a lot. This happens a lot when NFL players make this comparison all the time, where the owners of the teams are like modern day slave owners, and it's like directionally they're right, but they're not right at all. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you got to dial it back 1,000 different. You got to pull it back 1,000,000 different levels, and then you'll be there. No one responded from Universal or Sony. No one from Universal or Sony has responded, so it's go time. Meaning that we can argue that Universal and Sony have not supported you fully, and that as a result, they have breached. This is the lawsuit termination nuclear option. If we went that route, we would litigate and ask for your masters as part of a settlement. This is a high risk but high reward strategy. Let's see. Masters ownership we can look into buying, but if Taylor's cost $300 million, yours would cost a lot more, I assume. Remember that if you re-recorded these songs, you could own these new masters outright. A much more radical consideration would be to propose an entirely new relationship or joint venture with Universal, one that is equal and not one-sided. I'm not sure you are interested in that, but it could be a Yeezy Media Universal joint venture play, but one where you have the power. This is obviously someone texting Kanye, but let's just keep going, and then we'll get into that. He says, I'm not open to any form of business with Universal or Sony. I'm not putting no more music out until I'm done with my contract with Sony and Universal. On God, in Jesus' name, come and get me. I'm sure Steve Stout, he's a marketing guy, was hurt that he didn't do the McDonald's deal. Talking about the Travis Scott. Steve's a good man. Travis is a good man. My brothers, let's rise up. We don't even own these companies. Let's stop killing each other. Let's show God that we are God's people. My ego gets the best of me too. God doesn't measure us by money in his kingdom. Let's love each other. I love my brothers and I miss my friends. For real talk. I have the utmost respect for all brothers. We need to link and respect each other. No more dissing each other on labels we don't own. I'm not industry, bro. I don't care. I'm in service to Christ. We need world healing. I miss my brothers. I refuse to argue with black men on labels we don't own, even Twitter. I deleted that tweet about riches. The wealth is in our love of family and our brothers and our service to God. Let's rise up. Let's communicate. I'm the second richest black man in America. I need all my people with me for us to get free. I'm waiting to meet with Sean Carter also. So that, like, kind of what I was talking about with the directional stuff, I do think it's interesting, and it's not even just rappers or it's not even just musicians, but it's also like like TV people or like people, actors and actresses, but people do forget, like they're working for somebody. Someone's cutting their check. Whenever Taylor Swift makes an album, or not Taylor now, but like when she did make an album, she was making an album for somebody. She's being employed by somebody. Kanye was the same deal. Or take Robert Downey Jr. He's a movie star, but he's in somebody's movie. Like he has a director, and that director is directing somebody's movie. And that's a tough pill to swallow. And I do think Kanye does have a point where it's like, hey, what are we doing? We have the ability to put out our own music. We have the ability. The technology is caught up. We don't need Universal. We don't need Sony. We can put out this music, especially Kanye, who produces and puts out his own music. So I do think he has a point in today's world, you do not need those people. We've talked at length on a number of my channels, talking about how people like Bill Simmons and people like Glenn Beck, they saw that really early on. Bill Simmons saw, I don't need ESPN. I can do all my own stuff. I don't need ESPN radio. I have the audience. I have the podcast. Bill Simmons was one of the first people to really take up podcasting. Adam Carolla was fired from his job and said, well, I'm not just going to sit on my ass. And he started doing his podcast. Boom. He's way better off than he was when he was working at a radio job. We see Howard Stern. If Howard Stern got canned by Sirius, Howard Stern has plenty of resources to create his own production company, which I'm sure he already has, and produce his own show in his own studios, and he'd be just fine. You see comedians doing that. You see Andrew Schultz. I talk about Andrew Schultz all the time. Andrew Schultz was turned down for comedy specials, turned down for acting jobs, and he worked his ass off to put his content on YouTube, and now he's one of the most watched comedians in the world because of his Instagram stuff. It's a different landscape out there, and I do think that you'll see that stuff go away, especially with how distrusting people are of mass media. People trust Joe Rogan way more than they trust Don Lemon. People on CNN now, people on Fox News now, people on MSNBC now, they're seen as paid actors for whoever owns their news outlet. Joe Rogan, people like that, they're seen as just people telling the truth. So, although I don't think that we're looking at modern day slave ships here. I don't think Kanye's the new Moses. I mean, Moses parted the Red Sea. Moses didn't piss on a Grammy. So, I think that's a little far. I'm not saying that, but I do think that it is time right now for people, and I've said this about the workplace, people who are uncomfortable at work, people who are not happy in their jobs, there has never been a time where you can monetize a hobby or monetize a passion easier than right now. Finding out what your passion is, finding out what you want to do, and even if you don't succeed, not everyone will succeed in their business ventures. Not everyone will succeed in monetizing their hobbies. But I believe that before people just say, you know what, I'm a cog on the wheel, before people say I'm a pawn in the game, before people say this is my life, before people say I submit to the man and I'm just going to live in the cube for the next 30 years until I can retire, before people do that, I think it's everyone's responsibility to chase whatever dream, whatever passion, whatever they want to do, chase it, try and make it work. If it doesn't work, no harm, no foul. You can go into the normal job market. But right now is the time, like Kanye is saying, it's the time to change things. It's the time to shake shit up. It's the time to rattle the cages. If you're working in a cube all day, right now is the time to say, hey, boss, I don't really see the reason why I'm at this cube 8 hours a day. I can do my job just as well remotely. What do you think about us working remote half a day? If not, I need you to tell me why. Right now, employees have so much power they don't realize because there's so many alternatives. So again, I'm not saying to go piss on your trophies or on your desk or anything. Kanye's a little out there, but Kanye's kind of talking the truth here. If I was working at Fox Sports or something, and Fox Sports was really trying to hold me down, and Fox Sports was really trying to limit my exposure or limit my time on the air or limit whatever I had going on, if Fox Sports was doing that and I knew I had the audience, I would tell Fox Sports pretty much like, hey, man, look, I'm just going to go do my own thing. I'm just going to go do it. I'm just going to go produce my own stuff, get a podcast out there, get whatever I'm doing out there, and I'm gonna kind of kick your ass. So they're not slave ships, but Kanye's not too far off here.